What's going on, guys? Pete here with MixBetterNow.com, coming to you with a brand new Mix Critique Monday. It is Monday, April the 24th, 2017. We're kind of back in the saddle here. This week I got 4 mixes on deck. I know last week I said I was going to do 5, but I think 5 would just be overkill. It's just a little bit too long to get through these, so we're going to do 4 this week, and I'm just going to keep doing 4. I think I can do 4 in under an hour, so it doesn't make it too bad. I know you know what I'm saying. So this week we have mixes from Johan Turbanov, my man Julio Cesar Osario. We have a mix from Lasse Pettersen, and last but not least, we got a mix from Sknee G. If you guys are new to Mix Critique Monday, I would like to say welcome. What Mix Critique Monday is it is a platform for you to get free mix critiques, to get another set of ears on your mixes. Everything that is said here is all constructive criticism. It is all in positive nature. Nothing is said, negative or in a disparaging, malicious manner. Okay, it's all good vibes here. It's a safe place for you to get some mix feedback for free. All you have to do if you'd like to be on a Mix Critique Monday is simply email me, pete@mixbetternow.com. My email will be in the show notes, or you can head over to mixbetternow.com and email me from there. But in your email, please include a downloadable WAV file of your mix. Please include your name, the name of the band or artist if it's different from yourself, and of course the name of the mix. All right? So it's first come, first serve. When you send it, as I bang my mic, when you send me your mix, I just put it in line, and it's that easy. So no limitations on anything. So send away. I definitely welcome that. Okay. So we're just gonna jump right in here. First track up here is it's a mix called 70s by the band Smoke Shifter, and this one is mixed by Johan Turbanov. So without further ado, let's just jump right in.
The biggest hits yet. I could have rocked out at a Zeppelin gig. People got to know a guy named Boba Fett. The Beatles broke up and now Lennon is dead.
All right, cool. A couple things I just want to touch on while I'm listening. So far, really solid, super solid mix overall. I think the guitars sound great. I think the vocals sound great. I dig the bass tone. The only thing I'm not really loving is the snare sound. The snare to me sounds just a little bit, it's a little bit flicky. You're like, what does flicky mean? I'm like, I don't really know. Is some, you know how when you think of words in your head, sort of like when you say nasally or cardboardy, you know what I mean? But to me, the snare is a little bit, I'm trying to use the right word here to convey this. I'm just hearing a little bit of something poking out that I could tell is kind of in the mids or the upper low mids, and it's sort of dominating the snare sound. If you actually look at a snare hit on a frequency graph, sort of like that's on the Pro Q2 here, and you actually see how much of the frequency range a snare hit takes up, it's very, it's pretty broad, even though like the fundamental might be in the low mids, it still takes up quite a bit. And I just feel like I'm not hearing a lot of low end on the snare, which is going to give the snare the body it needs. Just back up a pinch here.
But now Lennon is dead. After Numsum thought we'd have world peace.
Even the kick to me is a little bit clicky. I guess that's the word I'm looking for, is I'm hearing a lot of attack on the kick and the snare as opposed to body. If you guys do any recording, or if you're familiar with mixing multiple kick drum mics, the whole reason that when recording kick drums you use a kick in mic and a kick out mic is because both are sort of intended to capture different tonalities of the kick drum. So the kick in focuses on the beater head, the click, the attack. The kick out you put outside of the snare drum, the kick drum will capture the body and the weight of the kick. So this is a little bit of something I'm missing on the drums. It's a great rock song, and for me, of course, vocals are the most important thing, and the vocals do sound great. But I feel like the drums could definitely get be improved upon. In particular, the kick and the snare. It's kind of hard for me to do it on a overall here without sort of beefing up the lows, but if I'm trying to boost the low end on a kick drum, I'll use something like a Pultec, like I've said many times, or I will tighten up the low end here by rolling off some of the lows, so maybe something like 35, 40, and then I'll kind of do a little bump where the kick fundamental is, with a little bit of a broader Q like that, okay? Or if the bell curve doesn't work to get your kick or snare sounding bigger, you can always use a low shelf. And then what you can do is sort of boost accordingly. So if you're rolling off, say, 50, and then you come here with your low shelf, and you want to boost something like, 35, 40, which I commonly do with the Neve, and then I boost that, you'll see you kind of get this really, really great little bump down here in the lows while still filtering out some of the bottom so it doesn't get overtly subby. And then the other thing that I would do on both of those drums is I would sort of look for where that pointiness is occurring, and I'd maybe pulse them out, be it 700, 800, maybe a little 1K, something like that. I would sort of remove a little bit of it, and I think that'll sort of help the kick and the snare a lot there. Let me just default this out, but that's kind of where I would take it if I had the drum tracks in front of me. But so far everything's sounding good. I would sort of tighten up the kick and the snare, and when I say tighten, I mean I would sort of beef it up a little bit.
But they forgot about the Middle East. Elvis kicked it, but he did have time to eat. It's common knowledge, I take it, I share.
All right, so right around here, I'm hearing a little bit of sort of some muddy buildup happening in the lows, particularly with the bass guitar, some of the guitars, even a little bit of the kind of riding on the tom here instead of the hats or the ride cymbal.
Action gathers all the world's luck. For the rest, well, you got poverty struck. Colorado made the
it's probably around 200. You could hear when I solo the band what we're hearing.
Still people judge and never bother to taste legal drugs.
right? You sort of hear a lot of that mud. This doesn't need a lot. This is, for me, just something that I would clean up with some subtractive EQ. Now, I'm noticing it more in this part than in the other parts. So an option for you, Johan, would be to you could automate some subtractive EQ into your EQs, whether they are on the tracks or on a bus or wherever. If it's just in this one part where you're getting a little bit of buildup, you can automate anything, right? So you can just sort of bring it in and pull it down. I'm getting a little bit of cross fundamental in with the kick, the floor tom and the bass. So what's happening is we're getting a little bit of EQ masking happening. You can sort of hear it. Sort of around 115 where we're getting a lot of bass fundamental and some kick fundamental as well. So they're kind of competing for that same area. This is one of the hardest things to do, I think, with EQing in a mix, is to carve out everything where it has its own space, right? But that's sort of what I'm hearing there. And, the way that you can work on it is don't go by Neutron by Isotope and, and use that. That's a whole nother story for another day. I'm not a huge fan of, I love Isotope stuff, but I just don't like that automatic magic bullet thing. What you can do, though, is you can sort of figure out where the kick fundamental is and figure out where the bass fundamental is in that area by soloing, sweeping, boosting, and listening. And then figure out what you want to dominate. Because sometimes you have to make sacrifices. It's almost impossible to say, well, kick and bass, they're so important. That's why people use sidechain compression and ducking and things like that, so that when the bass is driving, but then the kick comes in and the bass ducks down a little bit. These are all important reasons. So you might have to pick one over the other there. And because if you cut the whole area, I think this is going to lose a lot of the bottom. Let's try it. It's not terrible. I'm taking out some 120. It's not killing the low end, but it's certainly not the remedy here. So just a little heads up, Johan, I would go back and work on your kick and bass EQ. Even check out what the floor tom, figure out where the fundamental of the floor tom's at and where it's resonating to, and then you could sort of prioritize what you want the low end to sound like. Okay, let's keep going. Guitar's a little loud right there. It's just kind of overkill. I'd pull that down a few dB. Right on. Really dug the vocal sound. The singer's great. I love her voice. I like the effects chosen on there. Was EQ'd well, was compressed well. And there was a little bit of sibilance happening at sometimes, which is, of course, something we all experience with most vocalists, let alone female vocalists. A little de-essing, if you haven't put one on there, would probably help. A couple dBs off of that. But overall, solid. Definitely a solid mix. There was some weird kind of... It's hard for me to tell in a stereo track, but I felt like there was some kind of phasey things happening that I was hearing. The stereo image sounded a little odd to me. Almost impossible to say what's causing that, just listening to a mix, but always check phase in your mix on drums, on guitars, even things like, I don't trust delay compensation in DAWs. So for example, sometimes when I put things like, if you're using guitar amp sims on your guitars, always make sure the phase is good, because if you have two tracks, like let's say you have a guitar and instead of double tracking it, you want to duplicate it and then hard pan one to the right and hard pan that same one to the left. Often I'll do this with a bass. If I get a bass DI, I'll duplicate the bass DI, and then the second one I will call a bass amp track, and I'll put something on there like a bass amp sim or some distortion plugins where I will get it, sounding kind of grinding, a little distorted and driving like an amp will. But the problem with that I've learned is putting those plugins on, if I have a bass DI and then a bass amp, which is the same track, it'll induce latency on it. So then I'll have to nudge it and get it, lined up in phase, or I'll use something like auto align and really make sure it's I'm not losing any of my low end from having latency. So a little rabbit hole there, but it's important. I mean, phase is so important. And, you might be having some phase things going on where I was saying, I want some more low end on your kick and snare. There might be some phase issues on your drums, and that might have been some of the stuff I was hearing. But like I said, man, really good mix. Positive things are, I thought the vocals sounded good. I thought some of the guitar sounded really cool. I like the bass tone. And, a couple things you can go back and work on, listen to all the comments I said, but really good job. And thank you for submitting that, Johan. I appreciate it. That was 70s by the band Smoke Shifter, mixed by Johan Turbanov. Right on. Next one up, we have a track from my man Julio Cesar Osario, and if I don't get this Mixed Critique Monday up today, he's probably going to yell at me. So this is one of his mixes. This is Salida al Dolar, by Entre Niebla. Am I saying that right? I'm sorry, man. My Spanish is Niebla y Miedo. Okay, Salida al Dolar by Entre Niebla y Miedo. Of course, mixed by Julio Cesar Osario. Let us solo it up, jump on in, and here we go. All right, so before the vocals come in here, I just want to address something that I'm hearing. And it's sort of similar to the last mix, where got a nice big heavy rock tune, right? Big guitars, big bass. The kick drum sounds pretty small to me. It sounds tappy, like just flick, flick, flick instead of thwomp. Kind of how a kick drum should sound when you're listening to a kick drum be played, or played in a room or in your studio or wherever you are. Really would love to hear some more low end on the kick. I know I've said this before. I don't want to start to sound like a broken record, but if I grab a 1073, what's crazy too is that I have the UAD 1073 and it sounds good, but I always find myself using the Wave Shep 73. And I don't don't really know why, but I just like it. Guess that's good enough reason, huh? So what I'll do on kicks, and I call this, like I've said this before, the Neve 1073 kick trick. A way to get your kicks to sound really nice and tight and fat and punchy, and to add some weight to it, is to get a 1073. You could do this with a 1081 as well, but 1073s, doesn't matter the brand of the plugin, they're going to have the same fixed EQ points going all the way across the plugins. 50 is the first frequency on the high pass filter, so I click this on, bring in 50, then I take the low shelf here, and I usually try 35 hertz. If not, 60 hertz is cool, but 35 usually does it for me. So I'll go high pass filter at 50, low shelf boost at 35 hertz, and then I'll start working this up, and it really, really brings in the lows on kicks so well. What allows it to happen is using the high pass filter. So we're tightening up the bottom, right? We're rolling off the low end, then you're getting the bump from the low shelf at 35. If 35 sounds too muddy, try 60. But I never use the 110. It's always 35 or 60 for me on that. So that's kind of what I do with those. Give that a shot on the kick. The flip side is you could boost some 60, which is a common kick drum frequency, or some 100, but I would love to hear a bigger kick there. Am I crazy? I feel like the kick just sounded different now. Let me go back. Yeah, I don't know why, but check it out. Listen, I hope you guys are hearing this, because I got my good speakers on and my converters and all that stuff, and I'm hearing like a wimpier kick here. I feel like wimpy's maybe an unfair word. It's lacking body. Right, so listen to it there, and then here I feel like it kind of gets some of that back. Julio, let me know if let me know what's up with the drums, man. Did you use different samples maybe on different parts, or I don't know. That's just that's a little strange. Maybe it's a little less dense there, so I can hear more of it. But nonetheless, I would still like to hear more body on the kick there, for sure.
La tragedia de mi vida, quiero encontrar lo que sea una opción. Salida al dolor, sin voz, voy gritando, no importando.
I'd love to hear some more of the vocal, just overall in the mix, up a couple dB. It's just getting really buried. But I like that it's kind of buried, in this type of music, this type of song, this type of mix. You wouldn't want a very upfront vocal, but I think by just bringing it up like a couple dB, I think it would sound really good. You don't want it out front, but you don't want it too far back where it's almost inaudible. And I think it would benefit from that.
La tragedia de mi vida. No soy más la marioneta del dolor. El arlequín que divertía.
I love the tune. I love the vocals. Real anthemic. Very, very cool. Really digging it so far. The other thing I'd like to hear more of is a more powerful snare. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of echoing off of what I was saying with the last tune, but with this type of music, kick and snare is so important. Parallel compression. I would parallel compress the junk out of both of the entire kit, but I would definitely do it with the kick, with the snare. Another thing to be aware of is, I know in music like this, it's pretty commonplace to completely swap out kick samples with you know, kind of heavy stuff. Make sure you're not compressing the samples too much. If you go take a look at my why I use 2 mix buses video, I have a processed mix bus and an unprocessed mix bus, and a lot of the times I don't do anything to drum samples. I might do some subtractive EQ or some additive EQ if I want to sort of sculpt them a little bit, but you know, 90% of the time they're already compressed and EQ'd quite heavily. So if you have a real smacky sounding kick or snare, and then you go and compress that more, it's going to actually sound smaller in the long run. A way to sort of work around that to still get the sustain and the movement from the compressor is to use the compression in parallel. So for me, parallel compression is just a massive part of the way that I mix. You know, I don't know if I use it as much as like Andrew Sheps uses it. Well, I know I don't use it as much as Andrew uses it. He's pretty far out with the way he does that. But you know, I'm not talking about like a rear bus or anything. I'm just talking about parallel compression for like a kick and snare. So I would take the kick and snare there, and I would have its own parallel compression bus. You know, I've even seen, depending on how heavy and how many samples are going on, I've even seen a just a like a kick crush bus, a snare crush bus. You know, or you can do the kicks and the snares and the toms all in one bus, and then you could send everything else like the overheads, the room mics, you know, in the toms, if you want to send the toms to just a drum crush, you know, and I'll do that a lot where, you know, just crushing, you know, literally crushing the kick and the snare. You know, just some food for thought. Slower attack, super fast release on the parallel, and, you know, blend those two together. So have a drum bus, but then have a sample bus where you're sending everything to, and then send both of those to what I do, which is called a drum level. And then you'll have everything on one fader. So if you want more drums, just move the drum level up. If you want less drums, bring it down. I'm just going to pull this back a pinch. I feel like there's a little bit of buildup happening. Really good mix though. Really good job. Love the guitars, love the vocals, love the bass tone. There's so much, when you get distorted electric guitars and you get bass and you get kick drums and snare drums, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening in the low mids and of course vocals. So when you get that multiple guitar, bass, kick, vocal buildup, always got to take some out of the mix. I usually do that on the 2 bus or on my all buses. Let's see if we can just get a little more clarity here.
Tu
All right, two things I'm hearing. A little bit of nasaliness around 500. I'm going to take this out. Sounds like this. The other thing I'm going to do is a little bit of buildup around 300 I was hearing. Pull it back. Bring it back. I'm going to A/B in and out real quick. Hope you can hear what this is doing. It seems like it's clearing it out a bit, but it's making it sound bigger. Right on, man. Really good job, Julio. Really, really solid mix. Enjoyed it. Great tune. Couple things, like I said, the kick and the snare, I think, can definitely use some love in the low end department. In the fatness, you know, I just want more size. I want to like feel like I'm getting hit with them. You know, in my opinion, it would definitely take the you know, elevate your mix, I think, quite a bit. And then, you know, make sure you're not getting too much low mid buildup. These are things that, you know, I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but the reason is because it happens. During the course of mixes, frequencies will build up, and unless they're sort of addressed in the beginning, in the middle, and towards the end, they are just they're not going to go away. This is what a good mastering engineer will do. I always try and not master my own stuff if I don't have to, because you're getting another objective set of ears on it, and then you know, they have all kinds of fancy tools that can, you know, take out stuff like this. But you know, gentle cuts, 500, 300. 500 was a little boxy, 300 was a little muddy. So taking them out, it's going to clear up all that congestion that's happening from the guitar's bass kick. So yeah, hope that makes sense, and definitely make some tweaks, but you're well on your way there. That was Salida al Dolar by Entre Niebla y Miedo, and that was mixed by Julio Cesar Osario. So thank you for that, Julio. I appreciate it. Really good job on the mix. Next up, we got Bulldozer by BKS. I don't know if the song or the band is Bulldozer, but we'll call it Bulldozer. Bulldozer by BKS, and this is mixed by Lasse Pettersen. Let's check it out. Hearing something wonky with the bass going on here. Well, sounds like something's kind of clipping out. Let's get these a little smaller. And let's see if we can't make this a little bigger. I have went ahead and trimmed down the volume a little bit. Some of these were quite loud. I try and get them to all sound around the same volume using the K system. I'm guessing that your bass and kick is just a little loud here. Right there, where the bass comes in. Listen to that note. The boom boom. It's kind of distorting, not in a good way. It's kind of clipping out a little bit. So check your levels, Lass. Make sure you're not over limiting, over compressing, or sometimes when we don't see clipping happening in our DAW, sometimes we're actually clipping our converters in our interface. So make sure you're not clipping there either, okay? I'm still hearing the bass sort of clipping in a in a little bit of an unpleasant way or an unnatural way. So definitely make sure you go and fix that, Lass. Like I said, it's impossible to know. But if you want to leave a comment below and let me know, what's up with the bass. It's not so much the kick. The low toms are definitely adding to some of that. As I said before, a lot of those fundamentals seem to hang around in the same place, but yeah, just pay attention to those kind of things. I always keep an eye on my converters. I always keep an eye on my channels. Red lights in your DAW doesn't always equal distortion. It might be a peak sort of lighting something up. Cialeo, he says, he goes, red lights means means it's working, which I love. But when it's audible, that's sort of when it needs addressing.
Determined to stay on my feet. It's hard to be a tree in the desert. Expediency makes sense if you let it. Reasoning like that could mean your life. I look in vain, hope to the merciless cloud the sky. My leaves are brown and my rootstock is bone dry. But I can hear a sound.
All right, so the vocals to me are sounding pretty muddy too. I feel like those can be cleaned up quite a bit. It's sort of got that nasty thing going on where, when you got some muddy vocals and then you just sort of do some subtractive EQ and you're kind of lifting the blanket off. It varies vocalist to vocalist, can be anywhere from 150 to, 600-700. It really depends, because there's muddiness and then for me there's boxiness, which are sort of two separate things, but they can play off of each other. So, just pay attention to that. Maybe go back and address it. The way I kind of go hunting for those things is just getting a little bit of boost going. And not too wide of a cue, not too narrow of a cue, something like this. And I'll sort of cruise and listen for that, a little bit of that build up.
In the distance, and now I feel that I've got no resistance. It's gonna come and it's gonna run me down like a bulldozer. Bulldozer.
I'm hearing the bass is a little loud too here. It's not just clipping or distorting, in an unpleasant way, but the volume, it's just pushed. Yeah, it's not so much like the guitars. Actually, the left guitar does seem to be, I don't know, I feel like I just kind of get the vibe that the whole thing is sort of clipping somehow, somewhere. I'm just hearing a little bit of crunch and a little bit of distortion everywhere, which kind of makes it hard to be more objective with this, because it's like I can't really tell, you know, what's going on with the vocal, what's going on with the kick or the bass, or even the guitars when it's a little crunchy like that. So we'll keep rolling here for sure. But Lasse, what I want you to do, man, is go back and revisit this, figure out what's up with all the crunchiness, and shoot me over the you know, the revised mix, or you know, if you have any questions, of course, you know, feel free to ask away, man. In the comments, you can email me, whatever you want to do.
We got no time to be scared or be cautious. Who'll keep the desert from the door? They're moving in closer with the ugly ravenous machines, laying down roads where the grass used to be so green. Who is gonna stop the erosion? There's just no way to contain this explosion. It's gonna come and it's gonna run me down like a bulldozer.
Yeah, and these hooks, I mean, it's just there's a lot of mud happening. Let's try and clean it up a little bit. It's almost impossible with the crunchiness that's happening, but there can be a lot of cleanup sort of you know, to be done here. So there's mud going on around 200, which is very, very you know, heavy around here. I'm also hearing a little bit around 300.
To take the wind out of my sails. Your words could break a bone. Your words float like a stone. Your words could run right over me.
That guitar needs to come down for sure. It's kind of, you know, everything's sort of at one point, and then that feels like it just sort of jumps out, and it just feels way too loud for me. All right, check out. I'm going to bring this in and out. I'm doing 3 pretty judicious cuts here. 200, 300, and a little 530. I'm going to bring it in and out. Listen to, it doesn't fix it, but it helps clean it up. Check it out. I feel like we could even take out a little, I don't know, what is this, 120? If I go back here. Listen to how much the vocal is being cleaned up by these cuts I'm doing. So here it's out.
Safe from the sun's derisive gaze. Loose tongues are always a killer. Imagination's a surrogate filler. Who'll fix the damage once it's done? They're stamping down tough on a ground that's dry and hard. Pushing for a mile when you know I only gave a yard. It's gonna take some time to repair it. Until then we just have to wear it. Never gonna
That guitar is so loud. That's got to come down. A lot of these guitars that are coming in and out, sort of these accents, these stabs and stuff are just, it's not like they're a little loud. It's like they're 5 dB too loud, where it's just blasting, just out of place for me, which is strange because, I've definitely heard a bunch of your mixes, and you're a solid mixer, Lasse. So, at the end of the day, it's like we all have bad days, right? We all have subpar mixes. We all kind of. I was talking to one of my buddies, Brandon Smith, who was he's also a subscriber and a viewer, and he's a great musician, great mixer. But he was kind of beating himself up about a mix, and it's like, when we all engulf ourselves and entrench, our ears into a project where we spend days or weeks listening to something constantly, it's very hard to get some perspective on it. And everything can start sounding good. So, when things kind of go south, just make sure the whole time I say you as in Universal, everyone's using reference mixes straight from the start. Figure out what you're going for tonally, genre-wise. Bring in a mix, 2 mix, 3 mixes. Reference mixes are huge. That way we prevent a couple things from happening. One, we have a control. We know what we're going for, but then we also know when we overcook a mix. I know you guys probably all have overcooked a mix, right? Overmixed it. Too much processing, too much stuff going on, too much compression, too much EQ, too much effects. And that happens. But the best way we can sort of give ourselves, the best opportunity possible, reference mixes. There's no shame on it or with it. It's so important to check your work against, proven work, and it'll help you get better too in terms of what to listen for. So anyway, let's finish this out, and then we'll be on to the next one. All right, good job, Lasse. A bit of work to do there, man, for sure. Not going to sugarcoat it. Definitely not your best mix that I've heard. It needs work. It needs love. Couple big issues going on. Some of the crunchiness, some of this clipping that I'm hearing. Check that out. Figure out why it's doing that, what's doing that. Make sure your gain staging is right. Make sure you're not you're not overdoing any one thing too much. Check your converters, make sure you're not clipping your converters. And there's, the vocals are pretty muddy. A lot of these guitars that come in and out are just way too loud. And then, there's quite a bit of low mid buildup here. So as you can see, I'm taking out a little 135, a little 200, a little 308, a little 525, 530. And that was cleaning it up quite a bit, the entire thing, when I was pulling it in and out. So, and I was high passing to 50. So there's a lot of low end buildup happening there in the low end and then the low mids. Okay. The bass was quite a bit powerful. Excuse me. So some work to do, but that's okay. I mean, work is good, right? I mean, I learn the most stuff from mistakes I make, from shortcomings I have or failures I have. And, we all sort of need to go through them, I think, to get better. And we do get better from them. That's the good thing. So in no way am I'm not picking on you, Lasse, not beating up on you, man. I'm encouraging you to go in, dig in, figure out what's going on, and, sort of have another stab at it. Sometimes if I get if there's too much going on, I'll scrap the whole thing and I'll just start again. Keeping that in mind. I'll actually pull in, a crappy mix I did just to A/B it as sort of a what not to do. But anyway, I just want to say thanks for sharing that. This is where you learn the most, is sort of realizing these things. So anyway, thank you for that. Bulldozer by BKS, mixed by Lasse Pettersen. Appreciate it, man. Cool. Last one up here. We got one from my man Sknee G. Following it up, finishing it up. It's Monday, huh? With a cool hip hop track, we got Rock Out Chuck Gang. I don't know if it's by Gang, or if it's the song is Gang. So sorry, Sknee. Let me know. This one is this is a fun one. Love having a little variety, and here we go. This is clipping a little bit. I was pushing this kind of hard. Let's just throw a limiter on here. Make sure that's good. Yep.
Hey, gang shit, nigga. Gang shit, nigga. Gang, rock out. G-A-N-G, bitch, gang. Disrespect, you get blood stains. Trap house kick, just like Luke. Dark shades on me, Johnny Cage. G-A-N-G, bitches gang. Disrespect, you get blood stains. Trap house kick, just like Luke. Dark shades on me, Johnny Cage. Dark shades on me, this that gang shit. Disrespect, you get banged.
That vocal sweep right there is just a little loud. Like, you know, probably a few dB too hot right here.
Shades on me, this that gang shit. Disrespect, you get banged quick. Trap house kick, just like Luke Kane. I'm plugged in like the microwave. Holla squad, nigga, did that squad shit. About that guala, nigga, you get hit stick. Catch a body, nigga, just like Bobby Smurda. Team full of soldiers, Ninja Turtles. G-A-N-G, bitch, gang.
So I love the lyrics as a dude born in '83. Talking about Ninja Turtles and Mortal Kombat and Liu Kang. What's up, Liu Kang? Shout out to Liu Kang, man. Where's he been hiding? Is Liu Kang Mortal Kombat or is that Street Fighter? Oh man, now I totally can't remember. Liu Kang is Street Fighter? I don't know. Guys, let me know if one of you guys know. That's crazy. Anyway, the vocals sound sweet, man. I'm always a fan of your mixes, Sknee. I think you do a really, really awesome job in in the hip hop rap genre here. I like the 808, the kick, everything's sitting nice. The vocals sound good. The balance is really, really solid. Mixing 808s and kicks and stuff like that is, in sort of bass hits and bass pads is definitely a tough thing to get right. And I feel like on a lot of your mixes that I've heard, they're great, as are the vocals. So I'm definitely a big fan. It sounds great so far.
Disrespect, you get blood stains. Trap house kick, just like Luke. Dark shades on me, Johnny Cage.
It is Mortal Kombat. Liu Kang, Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage is from Mortal Kombat. I'm totally going down a 90s rabbit hole here.
Disrespect, you get blood stains. Trap house kick, just like Luke. Dark shades on me, Johnny Cage. 100-round drum, make him lay it down. Power surge, shut it down. 626, G'd up, big gang. Black flags, I go inside. Yapper with a scrap, I got a Tommy on me. Run up on me, I get the squeezing on you. Run up on me, get the squeezing on you. Bullets flying, tree limb, chop him down. Rock out. G-A-N-G, bitch, gang. Disrespect, you get blood stains. Trap house kick, just like Luke. Dark shades on me, Johnny Cage. G-A-N-G, bitches gang. Disrespect, you get blood stains. Trap house kick, just like Luke.
My only real critique of this or improvement I think you can make is some of these vocal samples or these vocal stabs that are coming in to accent you know, some of the you know, the blah blah, the lyrics is they're a little loud. And I know you want them to be loud, but they're just a little too loud for me, where they sort of distract from everything, right? Dynamics are good, loud to soft, everything in between, but when it starts to distract from everything, then I feel like, you know, that could be a problem. Like the guitars on the last track on Bulldozer were just a little too loud for me. I feel like some of these vocal accents can sort of just come down a pinch.
Dark shades on me, Johnny Cage. Dark shades on me, Johnny Cage. Get respect, you get blood stains. Dark shades on me, Johnny Cage. Get respect, you get blood stains.
Like right there. Just a little too loud, but so close. That's a sweet little piano sample lick thing. I don't know if it's a loop or if you played that, but it sounds really, really cool. I dug it. Sknee, not too much wrong with that, man. I think it sounds awesome. Really, really great mix. But I say that a lot about your stuff. Your stuff is really good, man. So, yeah, sounds awesome. Love it. The only thing I would do is just a couple parts where you see these transients sort of peaking up is where the vocal accents were just a little overly loud. If you like them like that, leave them. But for me, if it was my mix, I'd pull them down just a dB or two. And but really, really good job. That's sort of like a staple of a benchmark for me in terms of how to play, how to have your 808, you know, your bass and then also the kick to sort of you know, hit at the same time, to not have masking one over the other. So anyway, good job. All right, big thanks to everybody today. 70s by Smoke Shifter, mixed by Johan Turbanov. Salida al Dolar by Entre Niebla y Miedo. This was mixed by Julio Cesar Osario. Then we had Bulldozer by BKS, mixed by Lasse Pettersen. And we just heard Rock Out Chuck by Gang, mixed by Sknee G. So a big thanks to all four of you who have submitted. I appreciate it, guys. Please keep up the great work. Always amazed every week. Really, really good stuff. And last, I know I kind of was picking on you a little bit, but I'm not picking on you. I'm encouraging you, and I want to help you to, you know, sort of sort your mix, to fix it, to make the necessary tweaks that you might need to do, you know, to get it to a place that you're happy with. So if you have any comments or any questions, you know, you can hit me up and ask me anything. So again, thank you guys so much. If you're new, again, I'm just repeating myself. I said this in the beginning, but if you want a free mix critique, email me, pete@mixbetternow.com. All you have to do is include your name, the name of the tune, the name of the band if it's different from yours, and make sure it's a downloadable WAV file. I prefer WAV files over anything else. MP3s are okay. If that's all you can get, that's cool, but I prefer waves and first come, first serve. So this has been Mix Critique Monday for April 24th. As always, guys, if you appreciated this, if you dug it, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. And if you're not on the email list already, make sure you get on the email list. You get my free audio swag bag, which is full of all kinds of goodies like free mix templates, free multi-track sessions, free drum samples, free plugins. There's all kinds of stuff in there. So all you got to do is click on the link below in the description box, jump on that email list. You will stay in the loop and never miss a thing. All right, guys, that's it for me. My name is Pete with MixBetterNow.com. Appreciate you watching. Hope you guys all have an awesome day, and I will catch you next time.